woman I can depend on to bring me happy.
This is a captain's log. She's the best of the best, Lily Fox-Lim, and I'm Brian Kreutz. Now, speaking of the best...
the best? Star Trek is just that. We're talking Guinness Book of World Records, BK.
Yes, absolutely.
You know it.
For the best franchise.
And not just the best of the best, which means even better in the billions.
Yes, this is true. The best of the best.
Yeah. Like yours truly.
That's right. Yes, you are, actually. So, Star Trek garners a lot of attention as the best of the best, and Lily and I have mentioned this being the largest money-making sci-fi franchise in history, but did you know there are more records than a Ferengi could count out a gold-pressed Latinum payday to a double girl?
Ooh, that's right! Star Trek holds the record for the most successful sci-fi television adaptation in history, the largest Star Trek maze, the most expensive kidney stone, and the largest tractor beam study. And my favorite, the most widely spoken fictional language,
Klingon!
Klingon Kuv Edgebach.
Oh, I believe you say, it's such a beautiful language, Lily, and you speak it so well.
It is so good. Thank you so much.
I believe you said something like Klingon is honorable. Is that right?
Pretty close, like comparing a human dog to a Klingon targ.
Okay.
I actually said Klingon is an honorable and relevant language, BK.
Oh, perfect. Now, Lily, we've also learned so much about all these Star Trek records, but I have a doozy for you, okay? Star Trek also holds the longest running for a space video game franchise. And for this record, Star Trek beats out Disney and even Star Wars for longest running space video game franchise. What? Beginning in 1971, years before we were born, and producing games up until this past January of 2024. The evolutionary streak of themed video games is up to 53 years and probably still counting. 53 years.
Definitely still counting.
What?
Gotta
keep going. Yes. Fans can't seem to get enough of the Star Trek games that started on small box-like computers and now can be played on communicators, which are rather smartphones, which were stolen from communicators, like the idea, the flip phone. And tablets also are a great place to play Star Trek games.
Of course.
Star Trek Fleet Command is an excellent one. Check it out online. That's the latest one that I know of.
On the pad?
Yes, on the pad.
Wow.
That's another one.
Well, who knows what other futuristic inventions we'll see Trek on next, like Star Trek's record of largest space funeral. BK, let me articulate further first on the intricacies of the most expensive kidney stone. I think this is a great one.
Okay.
Captain Kirk is the focal point, but how would you feel if you were the official owner of his kidney stone? Now, in 2006, actor William Shatner reportedly sold a stone he had passed in 2005.
What?
For $25,000, and the stone went to online casino goldenpalace.com.
Okay.
Keen on being the exemplary leader that he plays in films, Shatner donated the money from the sale to Habitat for Humanity, the charity.
Sounds like something the Shat would do.
It does.
But a stone is a stone. Older people get stones for different spectrum of reasons than when younger people do, I guess. Shatner, he's old. We love him. So you have to think if the pain of passing a kidney stone is greater than the original death scene reshot onto an even worse described death scene for Shatner in the 7th film Star Trek Generations, this is when Kirk dies. Okay, it should be good, but I don't know. There may be a comparison of pain to passing a kidney stone to that death scene. I don't know.
The poor Shat. Let's get to thankfully introducing our lovable and not laughable Tractor Beam Me segment, who is more than welcome to have a shorter conversation of relevance with us about science and Star Trek in today's 21st century.
Perhaps, yes. You can stump Lily and break her streak of maybe, I believe it's at 6, where you're getting 3-point shots and swishes. You've never missed a shot. She never misses a shot. She aces this segment.
I feel welcomed, Ambassador. I'm acquiring a discreet transport from the Ferengi to lead a covert team on a mission to Celtros 3. Sorry for the darkness. My code name on the subspace frequency is Jazz. Here's a scientific thrill.
All right, BK and I are ready. Show us your pizzazz.
Enterprise Communications Officer Uhura, played by the lovely Nichelle Nichols, had a fancy earpiece to help her open the hailing frequencies way back in the 1960s on Star Trek. There were no wires and no reason not to believe she was hearing hailing frequency messages and humorous harmonies honing into that silver earpiece on the Enterprise bridge. In today's world, the very similar device can be seen adorning thousands of people as a Bluetooth earpiece.
Now, I bet you're going to ask Lili when Uhura first wore this device in her ear. Is that right?
Right you are, Ambassador Kreutz. Commander, you know what I'll call you, Lils.
Oh.
Call me Lils, and he's BK. And was that the actual trivia question?
Yes, Lils. BK, you have a way with words. Now let's see if Lils can answer the first episode Uhura wore the earpiece.
The Corbomite maneuver. She's wearing a yellow uniform in this one, and this was Nichelle Nichols' first appearance in production order. The first aired episode was The Man Trap, and yes, Uhura was in this episode as well with the earpiece, even though she didn't appear in every first season Trek episode.
What? Oh my god, you know everything Trek. This is amazing. Even down to her yellow costume. I forgot Uhura first wore that. That's
I'm inspired.
Crazy. You are. Perfect. We both are. We're both in yellow. You're unstoppable and undisputed as the ultimate Trekker, Lili. Thanks for tractor beaming us. We will talk to you on the other side of the star system.
We welcome another new incredible human to our show, a human who never played a human in Star Trek. 3 roles, in fact, and that is Leonard Crofoot, back with our interview on the other side of this break.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
In bringing you, viewers, interviews with vital character actors seen in crucial and carefully written episodes of science fiction's greatest franchise, Star Trek. Leonard Crofoot is the perfect example of a person playing memorable roles woven into Star Trek mythos. Crofoot is known for playing Trent in the very bold women-led society of Planet Angel 1 as the personal secretary to Mistress Beata. Also, he played Data's offspring Lal, the golden android before gender and appearance selection, in his second Next Generation role, and of course the third role was as a Komar spectator in Star Trek Voyager. Very memorable smile of his in that one. This week, Lili and I welcome the never casual and very articulate actor born in Utica, New York, to our show. Welcome to A Captain's Log.
And I thank you. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Now, Leonard, let's talk about your first project in front of the camera in the role of Aaron from the film A Reflection of Fear. Now, this was filmed in 1971 and released in 1972 from Columbia Pictures. This film has Star Trek alumni Sally Kellerman, remember from Where No One Has Gone Before, that first pilot, or second pilot of the original Star Trek, and Mitchell Ryan, Riker's father. Tell us how you landed the role and the experiences of playing this character actor all the way across the country here in California.
It was my first film. My teacher, George Zorich, a ballet teacher, he knew Howard B. Jaffe, and he'd worked with him. And he knew that Howard B. Jaffe was looking for somebody, and I fit the bill. So it was a look-alike to Sondra Locke, who was in the film. And so Howard B. Went for an interview, and he said, "Oh, you're perfect." And he says, "Let me send you over to Schwab's drugstore to meet Sondra Locke." So I went over there, and I said, "I live around the corner." "Oh, okay." So drive over there now and go say hi to her. And, so I met and I got the job. And I worked with Robert Shaw, who was on it, and I love that guy. I was the killer on it. I paired Aaron with a baseball bat. I was the male part of Sondra Locke. It's a mystery. I don't want to give away the story to those who haven't seen the film. But anyway, I was the murderer, and I used the baseball bat. And I remember Robert Shaw, he says, we were rehearsing, and he says, I was about to rehearse this scene, tearing down this place. I was supposed to destroy it. He says, "Here, lad, have a sip of this." It's a whiskey vial. Well, I drank the whole thing. So when we came, they said, "Okay, action." I demolished the place. And unfortunately, it was a rehearsal. Oh, no. So they had to rebuild the whole set. That was my introduction to my first film. They sent me home. But the next day they came back and Robert Shaw covered over the whole thing. So it was fun. And I had a rape scene with Sally Kellerman.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
She was so sweet. I was a virgin at the time, and she the crew was having a ball, laughing, expecting whatever, and she was ever so sweet. So I had a ball. It was really fun film. My first time around, it was great. William Fraker directing, and Laszlo Kovacs did cinematography. It was nice.
Thank you for sharing that, Leonard. Definitely some scintillating, super cool inside stories around this film. So, we're still in the 1970s. Leonard, please talk about your time in London with Carol Channing and being a part of this with her 10 stout-hearted men, and also discuss some memories about your time with Tony Martin and Sid Charisse.
I played London twice. The first time was with Carol Channing and her 10 stout-hearted men. It was a review. Carol had never played Hello Dolly in London. They wouldn't allow it. The English wouldn't allow her to go. But she did a review, and I was part of that review. And we played Drury Lane Theatre, London, England, for 3 months in 1970. And it was great because I lived on King's Road, and it was a Beatlemania, and the Beatles drove their psychedelic car up and down, and we waved, and it was just great. So I had my simulated snakeskin boots and my medallion and flop hat, and I had gold locks. I was a real hippie. It was fun. Then the other one was Sid Charisse and Tony Martin. I did their review, and this played the Palace. We toured all around the States. We did tents and all sorts of places to go to perform in San Francisco, all over the country. But we wound up in London in the Palace, and it was really quite nice. And my job was to go around. I danced with Sid, but mostly she had two partners that moved her around and were her partnering. And I mostly catered to Tony Martin, bringing him the mic stand. And I was an impresario clown type character with a crazy hat on. It was neat. Yeah, it's really nice. They were nice people.
Oh, that's a fascinating story down memory lane, yes. Leonard. Real quick, what's it like to be at the London Palace?
It was great. In London, I love London. It's just a beautiful place to be. And yeah, it was great. The first year I was there, it was the first time they had fast food.
Really? Great
American Burger. And they never had any fast food at all. They just had pubs, and they had food that was in glass containers, sort of like automated food. And in the pubs, it was all warm beer. They didn't have cold beer. And the eggs, they were like pigeon eggs. They weren't a full breakfast, so you'd have to have 2 or 3 of them to equal an American meal.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Leonard, a New York native living in California, Crofoot, has performed extensively on Broadway. Coming from a family of dancers, Leonard has a brother, Ron Crofoot, and sister, Gayle Crofoot, who also danced their way into our hearts in live performances time and again. So check out a few facts about Leonard and his siblings. I mean, trek them out.
Leonard, you're a dancer, and a very good one, because I've seen your work in film and TV, but your next big role is on the Emmy-nominated musical comedy TV movie Once Upon a Mattress, alongside the likes of Carol Burnett, and then multiple Emmy award-winning movies and live-action specials like Pinocchio from 1976, starring the great Sandy Duncan, Danny Kaye, and also Flip Wilson. What was it like hitting your stride, being recognized as not only an actor, but also a dancer in 2 consecutive films early on in your career?
It was the early 70s, and there was a lot, the whole situation, this was in LA. So the situation was, there was all kinds of specials. There were gobs and gobs of specials. So you go to the Variety or another magazine, not Backstage, Reporter. They had auditions, so you'd go. Like Hollywood Palace had all kinds of auditions. Red Skelton had auditions. They were all a gob of specials. So, I was on the Paul Lynde TV special, for Halloween, and it was great. I was on so many specials, but the one with Carol Burnett was special because I got to say, "Hey, Nani, Nani, no," to her. "Hey, Nani, Nani, is it you?" She was a dream. She was so fine. And that was choreographed by Ron Field, and Ron Field also choreographed Pinocchio. And I was hired through him for both. And for Pinocchio, Danny Kaye, he was just fantastic. And I'd met Sandy Duncan prior to that through Buddy Schwab, who I assisted on 6 TV specials. Johnny Carson Presents Sun City Scandals was the first one. And, I worked with Buddy for that. And Buddy was the one who recommended me to Joe Layton for when I did Carol Channing and her 10 Stout-Hearted Men. So it was a great time. Also, you had A&M Records. A&M Records, I think it was Herb Albert. Well, Herb Albert was the first TV special that I was ever in. And it was in Malibu, a Tijuana brass special. So I go back. There's all kinds of things that I did, Van Johnson promo to a possible series. Yeah, it was great.
Leonard, talk about your time performing with family and in particular your siblings, dancing in theatrical productions.
My sister, she's a dancer, and she was a solid gold dancer. So she was in the 80s. She's my younger sister, 5 years younger, Gayle Crofoot. And our brother, he's in New York, and he was with Hello Dolly, so it was the 3 Crofoots. We actually started with the Bolshoi Kirov way before the 70s, really? Dancing for Saul Hurok. They hired American kids.
Wow.
That is cool. That's a unique backstory into your early days. Talk about dancing in the early days, like even before Broadway, if you can, a little bit. And if you can, also discuss overcoming your disability.
And my early dancing came because I was crippled, and they got me out of a wheelchair and put me into ballet class, and I became a dancer. And that, it was great. I've had a good career.
That's really cool.
And I'm doing one. I'm having a fitting tomorrow for a movie, which is right now it's called Solomon, but it's sort of not. I can't really say a whole lot about it. I don't know a lot about it yet, but I've got 3 days work coming up by the end of the month.
Leonard, your career spans decades, and that's amazing that you're still working in LA today. Can you please talk a bit about being in theater and dance productions with your sister Gayle and your brother Ron?
Yeah, we started in ballet class, way back. There's a video that I made called The Pianist on Vimeo, and that has pictures of Ronnie and I in Dorothy Lespina's dance school. That's where we started taking ballet. Once I got out of my crippled chair, they put me in there. Gayle and Ronnie were already taking ballet. So we became the 3 Crofoots, and sort of like the Eddie or the Foy family or something, we were known as the 3 Crofoots. Mm-hmm. So we were in a lot of reviews, for numerous reviews with Dorothy Lespina, with George Zorich, with Stefan Venta. We were in companies together, and we did a lot of dancing together. Some contests early on too, and Gayle and I were both in Once Upon a Mattress with Carol Burnett. We both danced on that, so we danced together. And Ronnie and I, we've been together. We were in our first Broadway show called The Happy Time with Robert Goulet and David Wayne.
Now, Leonard, let's get into your first role in Star Trek: The Next Generation's early episode in 1987. It aired in 1988, Angel 1. You play Mistress Beata's male servant, Trent. And tell us if this was your first audition on Star Trek: The Next Generation and how you landed the role before we ask about the role and filming itself.
Well, the Last Outpost, I think, was the name of the one. Had me call my agent, Honey Sanders. She called me in. They called me in to read for Ferengis. There were 3 of them, and I read for all 3. And they came to me afterwards and said, "We're not going to use you for this, but we have something else in mind. So tell your agent, we'll be in touch." Said, "Okay, thank you." So I forget how long it was. I don't know whether it was months or I think it was some months, maybe up to 6 months or something. I'm not sure, but it wasn't right away. And then they called and they said they wanted to see me in again for Star Trek: Next Generation. So I went in, and I don't know as though there was anybody else auditioning for it. I went in and I met them, and they saw how I looked like now, and they said, "Yeah, we want you for this." They had me read, and so I said, "Great, I love it." And so that's how Angel 1 came about, and the process of working on it was just great. It was like it was exciting. I can tell you a story about the makeup.
Absolutely. BK knows I love to talk about makeup mastery. Tell us the story.
The original makeup was different than what you see that they came up with.
Really?
They made me look like a doll. I mean, a real gorgeous woman. They put eyelashes on me. Well, I look gorgeous. I would have dated me.
That's awesome. What?
So let's talk about the role Trent that you play. This costume was very revealing of your muscles and fit body. Of course, you're fit, you're a dancer. But you're popping into the room on Mistress Beata and Riker a few times and even have a hand in executions, literally, your hand on the kill machine. What interested you most about Trent in Angel 1 and about the concept of the episode that males were subservient to females?
Are you kidding? What's not good about it? It's like heaven. No, it was a really wonderful role. I mean, I was so pleased to be playing it. I loved being the subservient to a taller woman. It just it was easy. She's tall, I'm short. Okay, you're the leader, I'm the follower. But the crystal ball was so magical. It felt so good to the feel of it. And he's sinister. It's like he's a nice person, but he's also a little sinister in the fact that he has to do this. He's the henchman, and he does his job. He does it well. He cares about Mistress Beata and makes sure that she's safe, and does everything he can to make sure that she has everything that she needs. So he's a doer, and I like that kind of role. But also he's jealous of the fact that she likes Riker, and Riker's got a hairy chest, and he's wondering, how do I get some hair like that? And so he sprays himself with a spritz bottle, whatever. One scene, but he likes Riker. He likes those people being there because they're from another planet, but he's tentative because they might harm Mistress Beata, and he can't have that. So he's on the edge, but subservient, but also ready to pounce if he has to.
Oh, I love this story. Thank you.
Wait. I loved it when the Enterprise crew leave the room and you overly spray cologne like all over, and then moments later you're seen assisting an executioner. It's very drastically different. What are you getting all sprayed up for? But Trent is a very edgy and off-world, out-of-this-world character.
Yes. A very different alien character, as Picard would say. Yours is a different world.
I love it, yes. So, Leonard, how many days were you on set for Angel One, as this was a big supporting role for you? What do you remember of the shoot or playing the character and interacting with the Next Generation cast?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not really quite sure. Mm-hmm. I thought it was 7 days, but I'm understanding that it was probably 4 or 5 days. But because they also had to shoot other parts, later they had to shoot other parts of it. So I think that I'm thinking of The Offspring for that one. Mm-hmm. No, but I think I remember it as 7 days, but I don't know as though they did 7 days. I think it was 5 days. It was a team effort. I was a guest. The ambiance or the feel of the people in the cast was they were a little unsure whether the show was going to be picked up. So there was this tentative thing that we got to make this a good episode. Every episode has to be cherry, Mm-hmm. And I'm part of that. So they brought me into the fold, and we all brought it together as best as possible, to work off each other. I feel that that's how the feeling for me was. And then later, 3 years later, things it was a hit, and it was going to run forever or whatever,
A very memorable moment, I'm sure. And once again, chalk up another Jonathan Frakes positive experience for another Star Trek great like Leonard Crofoot.
Yes, Frakes is freaking fantastic. Leonard, really, though, has truly been a great interview. Lils and I will continue our interview in part 2 coming up next week here on A Captain's Log. Now, we need to create some space walking.
Space talking out of you.
Thank you, happy.